Directed and written by David Mitchell. Under the Silver Lake appears on the surface to be a movie about a young man trying to solve the mystery of what happened to his dream girl, Sarah, after spending a brief but promising evening with her. I've seen a few analyses of the film, but I wanted to share what I think this movie is not saying out loud. I don't plan to retell the story, I just want to summarize what I believe lies between the lines. There's a lot going on in this movie which I won't cover, but I believe that if you rewatch the film with my interpretation in mind, it could help make sense of a lot of other things. So let's start with the understanding that a principal message of the film is that we're all being exposed to some degree of social programming propaganda. But I believe what the movie is saying more subtly is that this programming, this mind control, can be far more severe on targeted individuals. So let's discuss Sam, the film's main character. After watching this film several times, I believe Sam is a victim of an MK Ultra program. I believe Sam is the dog killer and the owl's kiss, and that these two killers are one and the same. I believe Sam has been directed towards LA to be an unknowing servant to the programmers, the music makers. Sam exists at a certain level within the pyramid that does not allow him full access to the realities above him. He is an unknowing, mind-controlled servant. So let me present my case. First, the absurd, seemingly random squirrel that falls from the sky and lands before Sam, and then does a comical, cartoonish last look at him as if saying, "Why? What does this mean? Why do I think this is evidence of my interpretation of Sam?" Well, dogs aggressively chase squirrels. They are an antagonist to squirrels. I believe this is a clue to help us correlate Sam as a dog. So I don't think a squirrel fell from the sky. I think what we're seeing is Sam's programming reinterpret what was probably him randomly deciding to kill a small animal. Rewatch that scene and pay attention to the music, camera work, and Sam's expression. It all communicates that this is a very significant moment. Second, the skunks that keep spraying Sam. When and why do skunks spray? Well, when they feel threatened. So I interpret the skunks as elements of the story that are letting us know who the predator is, who the threat is. But you might watch this movie and think, no, Sam is the protagonist, the hero. He just wants to get to the bottom of what happened to beautiful, sweet Sarah. And like any hero, he's going to do whatever it takes to find out. But I believe the movie is consciously misdirecting us, using traditional story narratives and tropes to help us rationalize and excuse Sam's character. Individuals who undergo MK programming can switch off and easily operate in passive, non-threatening ways when appropriate and advantageous. But the movie blatantly displays how extremely violent Sam is several times, usually immediately followed by him switching to a completely different persona. Consider that right after the scene in which we see an endearing Sam spend a romantic evening with Sarah, he quickly transforms into an enraged madman who brutally beats the shit out of two young boys. Not exactly unprovoked, as they had vandalized his car, but the ferocity and rage we see in Sam can't be excused nor overlooked. Sam is a grown man delivering full force blows on a pair of boys no older than 12 or 13. This act of aggression is our first clue of what Sam is capable of. Not long after this scene, we get a dream sequence of Sam walking through the park, following a trail of dog biscuits that bring him upon a gruesome scene of someone wearing Sarah's clothes as they eat a murdered man's guts. The cannibal, who we assume is going to be Sarah, turns around and we see it's an unknown character. His face is covered in blood, and he then begins to growl and bark like a dog at Sam. Again, this is another seemingly random scene, but I believe this dream sequence, like any dream, is heavily coded with projections and disassociations. My analysis is simple. Sam uses dog biscuits to lure dogs so that he can kill them. I believe Sam is a mind-controlled killer who finds relief from his rage by killing dogs when he's not being directed to kill people. The dream is a combination of a killer making dog noises, kneeling before a murdered person, and I think this is evidence of Sam being both the dog killer and the owl's kiss. Another subtle, not so obvious clue about who Sam really is when he broke into Sarah's apartment after she initially disappeared. His proficiency in opening that locked window communicated to me, even on first viewing, that this was someone who had done this before. Similarly, right after he discovers that the hypervigilant, security-obsessed author and illustrator of Under the Silver Lake has allegedly committed suicide, Sam breaks into his house through a window whose metal bars have been broken. Again, another scene that could be easily overlooked, but if you pay attention, you know the author was obsessed with his security, and would have certainly not allowed for metal bars protecting his windows to remain broken. Right after the cops leave, Sam, without haste, with a knowing, goes directly to that window with the broken bars and easily enters the home. Once inside, Sam begins to review the video footage of the Owl's Kiss character coming into the house. But I believe that what he's seeing is a projection, a mask, because his programming cannot let him see the truth. It's why when the Owl's Kiss character looks directly at the camera, Sam shudders. His subconscious probably knows that he's seeing himself, but his programming can't let him see clearly. So that knowing glance at the camera was a subversive act of revealing himself to himself. Further, the Owl's Kiss character is also seen in Sam's apartment a short while later, but the moment Sam sees her, again, comically and cartoonishly runs away into his room, which is ludicrous and completely out of character for a supposed professional assassin. And the fact that she runs into his room, I believe communicates that she is him, and Sam knows it. Again, another thing that could be overlooked from that scene is when Sam literally starts looking for her in his dresser drawers. Clearly his subconscious knows that she's not there. His programming is playing as it does throughout the whole film. Oh, and before I forget, let me bring in an aspect that is also very subtle, but becomes more apparent after seeing this movie a few times. When Sam runs into his ex-girlfriend at the house party, I notice her demeanor is very reserved. There's a boundary she keeps, and I think she comes off a bit nervous. And notice there was absolutely no mention of any dog between them. Again, something I missed the first viewing, but if she had a dog that he loved, why was there no mention of him, her? It would have been perfectly normal, even expected, to ask about how her dog was doing, as so often a pet is perceived as a child between couples. Anyhow, his actress, model, ex-girlfriend is the face for a contact lens company, and they have billboards throughout the city with the tagline, "I can see clearly now," next to her. I believe she left Sam because she clearly saw what he was, and she probably was very frightened by his violent blind spots, likely going from psycho rage to gentle, silly kid mode. And though not stated, I'm sure there's no contact between them. And if you were to ask Sam why she left, he'd probably give some disjointed, confused, uncertain answer. Now let's talk about Sam's next act of hysterical aggression, the scene when Sam attacks Jesus in the bathroom. He viciously drags Jesus off the toilet and proceeds to punch him repeatedly, bloodying his mouth and nose as he interrogates him over why he's hiding codes in his music. But Jesus actually knows nothing about it, and ultimately all Sam needed to know was that he had been given those songs by the studio, the songwriter. This whole violent interaction, in retrospect, and again after a few viewings, communicates more about Sam likely being very jealous of Jesus' adoration from women. And he just used this as an opportunity to take out his hostility towards him. Had Sam simply approached him and asked about those songs, he probably could have easily found out that the studio songwriter had given him those songs in question. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I always understand that albums are collaborations, and that oftentimes the singers are just that, the singers. So I'm not sure Jesus wouldn't have simply told Sam that he had just been lead vocalist on those songs. And let's also take a moment to observe how chipper and happy Sam was immediately after brutally beating up Jesus. I mean, we don't get much time with the Jesus character, but from the small interaction we do get, we clearly see that he's a gentle, in touch with his feminine side, creative type, who would very likely be very traumatized by this act of violence. The scene is also shrouded in absurdity and comedy and somewhat rationalized by Sam's need to get answers, but again, I argue that this shouldn't be overlooked. This is a man who can attack someone like Jesus and feel absolutely no remorse over it. We then get to the scene with the songwriter. This, I guess, seemingly is the reveal that there is a behind-the-curtain force that is encoding music, that everything is being controlled, the idea of the individual, societal movements is all bullshit, and everyone is essentially being programmed by the controllers. And I think that as a mind-controlled victim, Sam is severely triggered by all this. So instead of escaping when the songwriter runs out of bullets, Sam decides to smash his face to a pulp. And we finally witness Sam's wrath fully expressed and in full display. Sam, shortly after all this, breaks the code and finds his way to the secret location near the Hollywood sign where the elite prepare for their ascension. Now, in my opinion, I think this is the real reveal. Though so esoteric, most people would likely be like, oh, okay, haha, there's just crazy rich people. But no, I definitely think there's more to it than that. What I believe is being exposed in this scene involves occult rituals that have revealed a certainty about the astral plane. It's why when he says, we're not going to die, we aren't going to heaven, we're going to ascend, from my understanding, only those who make it to the top of the pyramid will be given that insight, that all-seeing eye to the truth of what reality is. Lastly, who and what is the Homeless King, and what is that final interaction between him and Sam really about? Okay, so the Homeless King, I think, represents the people at the top of the pyramid, who have no allegiance to any country. They are beyond nationality. They have no home country, as they're above governments. And that nonsensical conversation that he has with Sam at the end, the whole not sure if we're going to kill you, I want you to watch that scene again and not think about it as a man brokenhearted about his ex-girlfriend, but rather as someone who has been subjected to mind control programs. I believe what the Homeless King is actually doing is checking to see if Sam's programming is still intact. The fact that he's asking about dog biscuits in his pocket is a key piece to all this, because what he's confirming is that Sam still believes that those biscuits are in his pocket because he's hoping to run into his ex-girlfriend's dog. You know, the one without a name and that wasn't brought up when they ran into each other. Had Sam said anything else, I'm sure he would have probably been killed, because his whole programming is designed to have him live with a huge blind spot. Those tears Sam cries at the end aren't about his breakup, but are tears of the pain from enduring MK Ultra programs. These programs are executed through torture, through breaking down a person's psyche so that the program can be implanted. The king is simply reinforcing the programming. Sam is a part of it. I think it's why he was drawn into the mystery to begin with. He knew in some way it was there to unravel, and it's also why they had such a laissez-faire attitude with him. Like letting him go to the ascension chambers without consequence. He's a mind-controlled asset. He was directed to kill the author of Under the Silver Lake because he was revealing too much. Sam unknowingly played him perfectly, gained access to his house, his trust, learned about his security system, etc. But anyhow, let's get to some final thoughts though. Why is Sam so happy when he sees his landlord get so angry and confused about the spray-painted hobo symbol for stay quiet? Well, I think first because it makes him feel superior to know that he's aware of what so many are not. And from what I saw in the film, I suspect Sam was already part of a pretty exclusive LA society. So the fact that he survived this little adventure might have been more of a test. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that once he gets back to work, he could magically start climbing the ranks. I think that symbol in his apartment was a sign to let him know that as long as he stays quiet, things might really just start working out for him.